Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fish's 411. Yes, Fish Easy here on a Saturday afternoon, enjoying some time chatting with not only some friendly folks, but we're going to look at these barbs. In case you're wondering what these are, these are Odessa barbs. And these are the young ones that we have been focusing on in the last few weeks. In fact, in the first live show that we had, these were just born. So a few weeks back, and here they are, already looking spiffy and zipping around, and they're doing very well. When we move them over to this 10-gallon, there is now 67 of them approximately, and they're doing very well at this small size, and they're eating, and they're just looking good as a group. So we're anxious to see how they turn out. So welcome everyone again as people begin to show. Um, We would like to, let's see, okay. Let's see if I can figure out who's on today. Um, we're going to take a look at some of the breeding of these barbs today specifically. Ah, yes, there we are. There is somebody. Stubbs Aquatics, I've been waiting on this. He loves his barbs. Yes, thank you very much. I do appreciate the feedback on barbs. And of course, the barbs that we've had in our aquariums in this particular fish room there's some specific ones I've had for a few years and I've got pretty good at. I've also dabbled in a few different kinds of barbs. Hey, Stubbs Aquatics, tell us exactly which barbs do you have? Put it in the comments. If you're watching this from the replay and you weren't able to join us right at 4:11 Eastern Standard Time, we do want to appreciate everybody getting onto the replay team. So please post a comment below. When you hit the thumbs up, comment below on the replay team. We appreciate all the feedback. Hi, Gary. Wonderful to hear from you. Glad you're able to connect today. Gary is also in our Peel Regional Aquarium Club. We appreciate Gary, different club members in the Toronto area here specifically to clubs are a really wonderful thing to be a part of, and I really enjoy being part of the local club also because it's a nice way to get different fish. It's a nice way to pick up on some specific species that you can't get in the store, or easy way to get live plants and so forth, because at our club meetings there's usually a auction, a live auction or some little mini auction, and you can pick up things very reasonably priced, very cheap in fact. So welcome everybody. I'm so glad to have different ones with us today. Looks like we've got a few more joining us. What we're going to do is I'm going to focus on some specifics of the breeding setups that we had, and just to give you okay, Stubbs says Rosy Barbs from the Frighting and Adult. I have Odessa, Rosy, and Gold Barbs. Okay, very nice. Those are all very typical of what we're going to look at today, and how I go about breeding them. So I'm going to just let you see first of all what I have. Move my phone out of the way. I think I have I'm going to put my phone on silent so we're not disturbed, but maybe vibrate in case I'm doing something ridiculous on this. I'm going to put up my messenger in case somebody wants to send a message on, contact me and say, hey, we can't see anything, or you dropped out, or whatever, so I can know. Thank you very much. So here we have, let's see, Gary. I'm just seeing how to get up the menu for a particular person comment. I don't know. Okay, doesn't seem to be working today. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at these tanks right here. Behind me on the workbench, these are specific tanks. We're going to get right into our subject today, and then I'm also going to show, as we get on towards the end, our updates for the week, and we'll show also not just what's new in the fish room, but also updates on those fish we have been watching grow and seeing how things have developed. So on the workbench, as you know, my first tank here is being, oh, there she is. She is a doll. I love this fish. This particular female is sitting by herself because of the male being so ornery towards her. The boy is with the babies. He's got fry, so he's going to have to raise them on his own. I don't know how many are exactly in there, but they're growing quick, and they're going to have to be just raised by dad. Now she is just gorgeous. I don't know where she got all these colors. Oh, she's threatening me. She's watching the. She's looking at this tablet and saying, "What on earth?" She's really eyeballing it. But she's got this rusty red cast to her, and her ventral fins are super red. She's just got beautiful color right now. But when she's breeding, of course, she gets darker. Yeah, I just love that fish. I'm falling in love with her all the time. We call her Amy because my little fish room helper, who's 6 years old, he comes in here and he named the pair Sonic and Amy. Now, maybe you've got grandkids or children in your household and you might know who that is, but I don't even know for sure exactly. I know who Sonic is. That seems to be a real popular character for young people. But Amy, I guess, is also a character on there. But anyway, that's what it is. I let him name him. So Amy it is. So we're going to see down the road how Amy reintegrates into the pair when I put her back once the other fry are removed. So that's something to go. Now I've got 4 tanks in this particular setup. This last one has got rams in it. And these are the electric blue rams, doing very well. I'm just amazed at how well they're doing. And never a dull moment. They look kind of hungry right now. I haven't fed them. I'm going to be feeding the fish as time goes on. I remember I also had a pretty dirty tank at one point, and as you can see by putting in a small baby pleco, look what happens to the tank. It just starts to look super clean. In fact, the only little bit of algae at the bottom is slowly getting smaller and smaller until at some point it's going to be nothing. It's going to be gone. Okay, so I'm setting up the equipment here so that I can get this right without dropping anything. Nothing flying off the tank. I'm just setting everything down on the 30-gallon here in the center. And I want you to see what I'm doing here. Now, these 5-gallon tanks are what I used for the main work of breeding the barbs. I also have been just using them to raise some of the smaller rams, the German blue rams. In this case, this one still has a bunch of electric blue rams. I'm going to have to find a better spot for these guys to grow out a little bit bigger. I'd like to do that. Maybe split them up just to be sure. I have about 25, 30 down below and a 20-gallon long, and they're doing super well. And I had no idea. That the rams that are electric blue come in so orange. I don't know why that is, but they're really exhibiting a lot of the electric blue metallic, but there's so much orange in their coloration as well. And I'm starting to see that in a lot of the rams. So we'll look at that even closer. I hope you can hear me well. Let me know if there's any issues, like I can't hear well, or I need to speak up, or anything like that. So, getting back to the need. So what we're going to do is, I had the other day removed the German blues that were here and put them in some other tanks. So now I have these spare tanks, and what we're going to do is probably one of them I'll use for I still have, let me show you real quick just by changing the, there we go. Oh, it's so bright. I don't know if you can see, but see we have some German blues coming up that need to get moved out of the breeder boxes. And so there's 2 breeder boxes over there combined together. I might have a little tank of German blues. So I'm going to save one of the German blues, one of these 5 gallons for the German blues. So we'll move them over. That will be easy to do. You just pick up the box, the breeder box, unlatch it to the tank from there, latch it onto this tank, let it run for an hour. The water will then be the same after a couple hours of dripping water, flowing water through the breeder box, and then I just dump them in. And that's as simple as that. So there's never any losses when it comes to transferring the smaller fish. And especially on the 5 gallons, they're perfect size for the medium size breeder box. Now the large size breeder box, if I have any of those, they won't fit here, so I'm not able to transfer them into here. I'll just look for a 10 gallon and put them on the side of a 10 gallon, and the large will fit on there, and then poof, I'll move them to something bigger. So here's the question. Now that we have an empty one, what I'm going to do is, first step is the bottom. Of course, the bottom is the most key to setting up a egg scatterer situation. So I cleaned it out the other day. I just wiped down the walls. I did not do much to the filter other than, whoosh it out in aquarium water. And do we make sure? Let's see if we have anybody else joining us. Okay, questions? No questions yet. My first name is Chris. Chris Stubbs? Is it Chris Stubbs? That is interesting. Because I knew a Chris Stubbs. So that would be easy for me to remember if it was Chris Stubbs. Okay, so what we have is a single sponge filter, which I like to have in there because it's going to start setting up. And you do not need to have a seasoned one. Now, the reason why is because if I put in a clean one, I just put it in there. But when the parents are only in here for about 24 hours, maybe 12 hours, maybe 8 hours, or maybe one day. So I'll put them in the night before, and they're only going to be there that one day, and then take them out. They will have spawned, and they will have put together the eggs that they need, and they're done. So is there a lot of ammonia in this tank? No. It's just fresh water. Clean water. Straight from the tap. Dechlorinated. We're going to use that. I'm not even going to bother with using RO water to try to bring down the pH or anything. The reason why is because the type of barbs that I'm going to use or you work with here aren't going to require any special needs. Now, why does the sponge filter not need to be seasoned or cycled? Well, as the eggs hatch, think about it. First 3 days, I'm not feeding them anything. I'm waiting for the eggs to hatch. After that, fry start to appear on the walls. Little glass slivers will start to appear all over the tank. Depending on the species, some of them go to the walls. Tiger barbs go straight to the walls and start scurrying up the sides of the walls. If they're Odessa barbs, they cling to the sides of the glass everywhere. If they are Hexazona barbs, you won't see a single one on the wall. Maybe one might pop on the wall and you might identify, oh, there's been a spawning. So why? I don't know. It's just the nature of the instinct of the little fry when they hatch. Some stay in the spawning media, some like to hide, some don't make much movement, others are all over the place. So it depends on the species. But I do know it's going to be 3 days before they hatch. Maybe 24 hours, but yeah, 3 days is really for the cichlids. It's really, by 3 days, you should start to see them on the sides of the glass. But they'll hatch and they'll have then a yolk sac, so it's still a few days. You will not see free swimming fry for at least a minimum of 3 days. That's the key. So during that time, during this period of time when there's 3 days, I'm not throwing food in there. By the time they start to become free swimming, I'm going to start putting paramecia, which is a live food, and I'm just going to put amounts and keep feeding that, and it won't be the kind of food that spoils. So the paramecia will be swimming around in the tank, and it'll be perfect for the little fry to go and snatch and to eat. So when does the ammonia start to build up? It's quite a few days later. You know, you got a lot of water with tiny, tiny little organisms. The fry are small, and they're not producing much in the form of digestion and excretions and none of this. It doesn't make sense. You could test the water all you want. You'll see it's still like tap water. You're going to have the same parameters. So here, the sponge is slowly going to start building up what it needs. Now, I already had fish in there. I didn't clean it out with chlorine or anything, and it could be a new sponge, but I'm going to use one that's seasoned, but it's probably well cleaned. It's ready to go. But as the fry get bigger, the sponge filter will automatically start accommodating and processing the ammonia and the nitrites at the same rate. And so in other words, it's like cycling a tank. You start off with nothing, and then it just sort of cycles. And so as the fry get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, so when I moved the Odessas, we saw at the beginning of this live stream the Odessas that are now from, let's see, this is live stream number 8, so it was 8 weeks ago. So they're 2 months old now. And by the time we moved them a week ago, so they were, 6 weeks. You got 6 weeks to work with, and in 6 weeks, your sponge filter is going to be cycled. 6 weeks of sitting there and just slowly building up. So enough of that. That explains. I wanted to just mention that about the sponge filter. On the back of the tank, I have the overflow. Here's the overflow. So I think I think I did put the link. I do like to put the links to my other videos in the description below. So if you do read this, the link, if you go to the link and find out more about how to build those are very handy to do. So I have some air going in, and I have a heater. The heater is to adjust the temperature for the breeders to kind of trigger them to spawn. So they're going to be moving out of like 78 degree water, and I like to just bump it up a couple degrees, whatever they're in. So it could be close to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And then whatever that is in Celsius, I forget to see. Alexa, what is 80 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius?
80 degrees Fahrenheit is about 26.7 degrees Celsius.
26.7, so 27 degrees. So around 27 is going to be the number for what I want it to be. Now let's see what I have here right now, just to see what it's like. It's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So 80, 81. So this is kind of good at the moment. And it's only going to be 2 degrees off of when I pull the parents out, so we can actually do that. Next is the important thing. Get that bottom going. I'm going to get my spacers out. Spacers are just cut pieces of PVC. And I'll need about 6 or so. I'm going to just get some that are basically the same size. I try to cut them about the same size. Not always so easy to do. It looks like I have 2 sizes. Some a little taller than others. I don't see that. It really doesn't matter because I'm going to you can't see that, okay. So here's my spacers, you can see. Um, take a good look at them. They're just simple cuts. You see they're different sizes. So because they're different sizes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find the ones that are about the same size. So I'm just gonna like put them over. Let's take these four. They're about the same size. There's a couple more taller ones. And 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, let's just go with 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 8 of them in there, and I'm going to also put in a piece of this material. It's a fiberglass material that's just cut, just slightly bigger than the inside size of the tank. And I really like this material because it's somewhat holds up. It's pretty stiff. You can see if I curl it a little bit in the tank, it does this. You see how it becomes it gives it, when you curl it somewhat, it gives it strength. So that's why it's cut a little bit bigger, because I want it to kind of do this. Because I want it to hold in place. The most important thing is not to allow any fish to get underneath. A female running from a male will go desperate to get away from him, and that's why it's important to kind of make it so that there is no gaps, that she can squeeze in and get underneath, because once she's underneath, he can't get to her, she can't get out, and if she did lay any eggs, she might just be eating them. So that will be what we call a failure if that ever happens and the female gets underneath there. So I'm going to see if we can do it so that it doesn't happen that way. I have a hand towel right here. I'm going to use the hand towel for my arm. So we're going to just put in these, set them up. I'm going to throw those in there. Okay. Arrange them in sort of spacers throughout. Three in the back. Now, when this sits on top of this is heavy, so the filter here is an issue. It's going to flatten out and it's going to like smash, and I don't want this material to actually touch the bottom and be able, the fish can actually get to the bottom of the tank, the glass bottom. So what I do is I put a spacer in a position where it's right underneath this filter, and then it works perfect. It just holds it up, it supports and keeps it off. So let's show you how that's done. So just put that up a little bit. I'm going to put this in. And first, I guess I should put the spacers where I want them, kind of throughout. It doesn't matter exactly how many. Actually, I'm going to put 3 along the back, 2 in the middle, 3 in the middle, and 1 on each end. There we go. Let's see if this will work. Pull up the filter, the sponge filter. Let's lay down the material. See how it just lays right on top? See that? And then I'm going to put this one right on top of that spacer. Boom. So it's not going to be an issue. Now, there we go. That worked out pretty good. The back seems, in the sides here, I kind of like it, instead of pointed up a little bit, like it down. I use a paper clip. You can use any of your tools of preference. I like the paper clip. And I use the paper clip to just pull up in places where I need to get it to go up a little bit. So I just stick it under and It's a way of grabbing onto it. Kind of adjusting. There we go. There we go. This needs to be pushed to the back. The spacer needs to get under that sponge filter a little better than that because it's not quite to the back. I'm going to push the spacer further back. There we go. And then, by the way, the water is lower. I don't know if nobody even noticed that. It's only the only reason it's lower is because I'm putting my hand in there. I didn't want to slop all over the place. But I'll top it off. I can just top off the water when I'm all done. Okay. So I hope you can see that so far. So there's the bottom. It looks like this is not even touching the spacers right now. But it does, if it should start to fall down. It takes a little fiddling with because you want it just right. You do not want to try to get a fish from underneath. What happens if he goes underneath, there's no easy way to get her out. So I have to just open up the whole thing and kind of tear it apart, fish the fish out, and then put the bottom layer back on. So there you go. I have a link to this material in the comment section to my where you can buy it online, Amazon. It's for barbecues. It comes in sheets like this, and this is a package that I bought, and it's not that expensive, and you get 3 or 4 sheets inside. I think they're kind of, the idea is after you use them a few times, you toss them and get another one. I think that's the idea behind them. I've not used these for barbecuing, but they're made to go on a barbecue grill and somehow cook evenly. Allows you to cook your steaks evenly. So I'm going to now ask the question, what's next? What's next after this setup? I'm pretty much there. I need some sort of material that is going to be the media for the fish to dive into and to feel like, well, I feel kind of safe and I'm going to start spawning, because barbs and egg scatterers need something. I heard and read about cardinal tetras will do it over open area where you don't need any type of spawning mops and spawning material. That's because in their nature or their natural habitat, the cardinals are sort of spawning like that. Okay. Oh, thank you. Carla is with this. Hello, Carla. Thank you for joining us. I want to pick up on a few comments here. Misky Pish. Interesting. Welcome. Thank you. I'm not sure. MP is here. And Carla, how do I grow the paramecia? Yes. Just so you know, the paramecia video, that's also, I think, a link in the comments to this one. I think I put it there because it is the #1 video. I produced this video, and it is like, as far as views goes and comments and discussions going on along the bottom, it is the biggest video that I've ever produced, and probably the video that put me on the map. For some reason, the recipe that I use is a very simple one, and it's really good for keeping odor down. You can grow paramecia. In fact, before today's end, I'm going to show you the paramecia I grew in the canisters or the bottles, and I'm also going to show you the paramecia or infusoria that I grew just from the tank water. Just from tank water. So you can actually do this if you do it in advance. So like right today we're preparing for the fish. If I was preparing the paramecia, I would have done it 10 days ago. So 10 days ago from now, in planning, I need to already start my infusoria culture. Don't be like most people and wait until you have fry, and then out of desperation go crazy trying to get the right kind of fry food. Plan it out. First, get the fry food. And in fact, in this fish room, we always have paramecia ready on hand. Lots of it. And every 10 days, I'm creating a new one. In fact, today is the 22nd. I probably on the 20th, I needed to do, I'm going to do another 2 bottles and culture it. I'm going to do it the same way as in the video. The video has some improvements, and I've made mention of those improvements in the comment section. If you read down in that paramecia, I don't know if there's anybody who can post that link if it's down below. Gary, thank you for asking a good question about heaters. I have not found a good heater. No one has. I've tried all kinds of different ones. This one in particular that you see here has a cover on it. I don't even know. I just bought some. Here, I'm going to show you what I have been buying. This is Aqua, let's see. Here's the one that I have in most of my tanks. This is Cascade, you see. This is by Cascade Heat. I thought it was aquarium heater. Cascade Heat. Well, how do you like that? This one, this is by Penplax, but yeah, Penplax is the heater I can buy the cheapest, and I found that sometimes they go bad. I watch it closely, and so I just have accepted and come to the conclusion that you're going to be buying heaters. It is cheaper to heat the room. I mean, you know, I keep the room is pretty warm, nice. My heaters only are bumping it up a few degrees here and there, keeping everything a little bumped up maybe. So they're not really working a lot, and they're not flipping on and off constantly as much as some fish rooms might be. So for me, I have pretty good success with the heaters, nothing really happening. But when I find one that doesn't seem to be heating, no matter where I do or put up and turn, and you know, I just don't trust it. So I get very cautious about that. And I wish somebody could make the perfect heater, but there's a lot of videos, and I think we've all looked at the videos on the heaters. This one is a 25 watt, so I'm just using a 25 watt heater in a 5 gallon. And I actually use 25 watts, which is the smallest you can find. And I use them because they're very small heaters. They're not long, big. You know, I just want a small. I'd rather use 225 than the other one. Okay. Hi, Ray Aquatics. Welcome. Thank you very much. Looks like we have another tea bag. Thank you very much for joining us today. Hope we're going to continue on our discussion now of what's next. I'm going to put in some live plants. I don't like to use yarn. I use the yarn mops for the blue-eyed rainbows when I'm breeding those. And those are another video that I just put out a few weeks ago. You can check that one out if you wish. However, the blue-eyed rainbows don't care about, they want the mop. They want the mop that kind of hangs from below, so the yarn is perfect for that. But in this case, I want something that's going to be a little more organic. I want something that's going to produce a little infusoria on the side. I want something that's going to be very natural for the fry, because once they hatch and they start growing, I want to be able to have that material in there already. So, question. Let's take a look at some. I'm going to grab some moss. Java moss is my preferred substance to go to here, and we'll put it in there. I'm going to spread it out. Let's see if you can just make a slight adjustment there. You can see better. Okay, I'm going to grab some Java moss. I have lots of it. I really do. And I take it from this tank usually, although it's not my best Java moss, but I'm going to just take a piece here. That's not enough. That made a mess. Okay, I'm going to see if I have some better Java moss over here. I have some Java moss with also a little Java fern that's kind of mixed in. You see that? And what I do is I place it loosely right here in the center. And the reason why is because if a female is getting pursued and pushed and she needs a place to hide, she's going to dive kind of behind the Java moss and kind of underneath the heater. But he might see her after a while when he starts looking for her. You'll see this happen. And when she needs a place to get away from him, that's good. However, you don't want to provide too much hiding places, because if you do too many good hiding places, he'll never find her. And then that kind of defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do. You want the male to drive the female. Drive meaning pushing her a little bit, making her dive into the Java moss, and so that they can have that feeling of, oh, I want to release my eggs. So she'll feel that need to do that. So let's go with this setup. It looks good. There's not much more to do here. I think it's all pretty good. We got the heater, we got the temperature, we got clean water, we've got a good base at the bottom. The next step along our process is the parents. Now, what I want to show you is how, maybe take a look at what I have available. I just grabbed the Java moss out of this tank. These are males. These are all my boys. As you can see, we're looking at Hexazona barbs. We got tiger barbs, checkered barbs, and that's 3 different kinds of barbs. In here we've got the Odessa barbs, which we just bred, and so I'm not ready to put those together again. And then over here we have the females, tiger barbs. There's also checkered barbs and Hexazonas. And if you look closely, you'll see one fish. There she is. Nope. Where she's always hiding. She's a skittish fish. There she is, way over there. See that fish hiding? That is a African banded barb. And so I also breed those. There's a few of them in here. But then on this side, I have one more tank with females and males separated. Again, another tank with my breeders so I can select from. These are the female Odessas and tiger barbs. These are, it looks like a male tiger barb. I have 2 kinds of coloration on the tiger barbs. They are the green moss or dark green, and we also have these tiger barbs here are platinum green. Okay, so my question is, which ones do you want to put together? I'm going to try something. I want to try something a little unique. Each one of these tanks has the breeders, and I've been feeding them up. I've been giving them lots of food, and just pretty much just getting them together with lots of live food, some baby brine shrimp. Welcome, Crown Tail Half Moon and Skipper's Aquariums. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be doing some breeding here. We're going to decide what we want. Does anybody have a preference? What would you take of these 3? The dark and the platinum. Okay, yeah, tiger barbs. I think I'm going to do something very unique and very special. What I'm going to do is different than what I normally do, and it's sort of an experiment. I've never done this before, but I'm going to use the same breeding tank, and I'm going to throw together a pair of barbs. We're going to watch their behavior a little bit, but after tomorrow morning, after a few hours of them breeding, I'm going to pull them out, and I'm going to throw in a pair of different barbs and let them be together for half a day, and then I'm going to pull them out, and I'm going to put another pair in for a half a day. And what we're going to end up with is probably a mixed tank of barbs of different ones. Yes, maybe some of them will eat the eggs from the previous pair and everything. Yes, that's possible. Very likely. Not at all improbable. But there's going to be, as long as they're able to stay away above the net here, there will be quite a few eggs that will get down below. So I like to be able to peek underneath here and see on the bottom, and that's what I'm doing here, kind of giving you an idea of how I peek down and look at the glass bottom. Using a flashlight helps too. And what I can do is I'm interested in just seeing how many fish I can get in one batch using different breeders. Now they've all been separated for many months, so I know that they're anxious to breed. If they see a female, like putting them together, they might really go get busy. But since I'm so down on tank space, this particular tank here is going to be used for the German blue rams that we're going to move over later today. So that will fill up all these tanks. If I didn't have a need to isolate this girl, I would have another tank. We could do two separate tanks and keep the species different. But I'm merely anxious to see what happens if we have the same tank with several species and let them grow together. When they're very small like that, I don't think it's going to be an issue. So I don't know how you feel about that, but it's sort of an interesting experiment that, if you're not experimenting and not enjoying yourself in your fish room, doing different things that maybe you've never done before, you'll never learn. I like to mention that there's only two kinds of activities that occur in a fish room. One is success, and the second one is lessons learned. Really, there's no failures, because every time something goes wrong, it's a lesson learned. We learn something, and then of course you learn what exactly you did or what happened and what that effect would have in the future, and so you learn not to do that again. I've had plenty of failures, especially when it comes to using RO water, and so I think everybody's learned their lesson about how the effects of what could happen if the shock of the water is too much or too great, or it drops, so you have a pH crash. These are all things that happen, right? Well, those are lessons learned. What we're going to do is we're going to use tap water this time, and we're going to see how they do. Now, I have three choices, and I'm going to probably use all three. We have tiger barbs, checkered barbs, and the Hexazonas. Now, my experience has been that the Hexazonas are very shy breeders, and they sometimes need an extra length of time before they settle down and actually have their fry. So that would tend or cause me to want to do one, put them in first and leave them in longer so that they will produce some eggs, pull them out, and then use the other species. However, in this particular experiment, I think what we're going to do is we're going to avoid crown tail half moon has already made mention the fact that they like to see the dark and the platinum tiger barbs. So what we could do is put in a pair of platinums, put in a pair of darks, and then put in a pair of the checkered. Checkers are pretty easy, they go quick. So once they're together, it won't take long before they're going to be producing. So then at the very end, and before those eggs are hatching, I could put in the Hexazonas, and maybe I'll skip the Hexazonas this time. And if we have success, then we'll raise the tiger barbs with the checkered barbs. Yeah, that would be the easiest to do. And then I'll keep the Hexazonas separate. And if I get a tank, an extra tank, I'll do the same thing I did here and just put them together and let the Hexazonas spend more time. I'll usually, because I don't usually see activity, they're very shy. Same as with the African banded barbs, they're very shy. And so you'll never see them spawn, but you will take the parents out after 3-4 days and then you'll find fry. So they did spawn, but you won't see it because every time you walk in the room, they're going to be like, oh, I'm too embarrassed, They're really quick to hide. So the shy fish are going to be skipped. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll try this experiment. We're going to try 2 species. One is tiger barbs, and the other one is checkered barbs. So tomorrow I'll do the checkered barbs. I'm just going to pull out the tiger barbs and then put in the checkered barbs. So for the sake of today, I'm just going to throw in 1 pair of tiger barbs. Now I can do the green platinums or the dark. Which do you prefer? Anybody have any suggestions? Older fry will outcompete the younger fry. That's a very good comment. It will happen most of the time, but I have found that in my experience, like for example, when you put in like the Hexazona barbs and they're spawning over a period of 3 days, yes, there's going to be some that are a little larger than others. And there's going to be some that are smaller than others. But I've never found them to be a problem because the way we've got this set up is we're going to maximize the production because we're going to use the drip system. We're going to be dripping water. When I want to make a water change, I just do this. And now I'm just dripping water. You see the dripping water? So these, whoops, made a mess here. So these tanks, I'm not really so concerned about a fry that are a couple of days apart because when they're only a couple days apart, my question to you is when the second ones hatch, the other ones are 24 hours ahead of them. There's a big discrepancy. So the first hour, the other ones are already 23 times, 24 times older. But what happens when they're both 4 weeks old? They're only separated by 1 day, 24 hours. So 1 day out of 28 days. So what's the 28 divided by 27? The number is 1.000, whatever. I mean, it becomes almost the same. So what's 1 day difference in age when they're 4 weeks old? And that's when they really start competing with one another. And I'll be honest, looking at the German blue rams, the way they grow and everything, I have some fish that are a month older and are bigger than the small ones in the batch that are ahead of it. So they do grow at different rates. And so there's always that, even all the breeders, they do the same thing. They're going through and they're picking out and they're looking at the fish size-wise. So they're sorting by size. Okay, so how do I pick out the parents? Let's just pick out a pair and get it started, and we'll just start that way. Did we get any comments about which one that people want? Hey, Jonathan Walker, thank you for joining us today. Wow, great to see you. Yeah, Yeah, it's going to be interesting. This is an experiment, by the way, and so I'm anxious to see what can be done. And the other thing is, some of those batches, what I've done is I put a pair together, and I'll get 5 fry from the African banded barbs, or 10 fry from the Hexazonas, because they're a little shyer species. Sometimes you don't get. With the tiger barbs, I'm going to get 100 fry. With the checker barbs, I'm going to get 100 fry. Very easy. So, what happens if I have a tank and I only get 5 fry? To me, it's hardly worth raising 5 little fry in such a big tank. I should be using this to the maximum. So that's the other reason why I'm trying this, because yeah, I want to get some of the other fish. Let me go ahead and change my camera around, and I'm going to pick out. Let me pick out a pair of tiger barbs, and I'm going to check the temperature first. I just want to make sure we're all good. Yeah, these tanks are 76 degrees at this level. They're all the same. And this one's 80. So in this particular case, what I normally would do is put a breeder box on the outside. But because they're tiger barbs, I'm not going to worry about it too much in this case. 5 degree difference won't shock them. They're just that hardy. I won't have an issue, and they'll feel nice and warm. So let's pick out. What I like to breed is I'm going to pick out. What I like is, just so you know, I'm looking for the best male that has the reddest finnage and the least amount of black markings in the ventral fins, because I've been developing this strain of tiger barbs for some time. This generation has been in my fish room this is probably a third or fourth generation. And so I'm always picking out of the group of 100, 150, about 3 males, 3 females, or 4 and 4, something like 8 fish that are the best of the entire group. And so that's what I end up with. And I get my eye on a fish, and right now they don't really know what's going to happen. In fact, tiger barbs are extremely curious, and I'll just put the net in there, and they'll go right up to the net and say, "What's this? Is this something to eat?" But first, before I do that, I want to try to pick out a fish and have on my eye the one I really want. Beautiful male with the most striking coloration. He's going to be the one that is, I think I see him right there. He's definitely in condition. He's probably top of the heap when it comes to being the #1 fish. So I keep my eye on him. I put the net inside and just move it ever so slowly, and let him run around the net, whatever. He comes back and forth. There he is in the back. Okay, this one. Oh, beautiful fish. I have 2 of them in here that have got super red ventral fins. Really nice. So as I go, I'm going to pretty much, they're starting to get curious about the net. They're coming into the net. They're just zipping around. They don't seem to... They're very cautious, but at the same time, I've got looks like 5 green tiger barbs in here to mess with. So there's 2 of them that I really like. So we'll see. Here's one, if I can keep my eye fixed on him. He's going back and forth, but they don't stay in the back very long. They come zipping to the front because that's where the food is. Now, what I could do is just drop a few grains of food in there, and poof, they will be distracted. Let's see, the other choice is, I've got 2 nets, so with my eye on one, I'll stick the net in the back, and it kind of drives into the front. Okay. I guess this wouldn't be the most easiest thing to do. Actually, I think the best thing would probably have been to catch the fish first, right? Okay. There we go. Got him. Without a lot of excitement. So I'm just going to take the boy here, and I'm going to put him, plop him in there. And then I'm going to look at the females. Now they're coming right up to the top. They think there's some food here. So what I'm going to do is grab a female that looks plumpest, but also has beautiful red ventral fins, because I'm trying to develop that. Alright, let's see. Now, a nice plump female is one that's going to be ready. She's going to be anxious to go. Now, I would not breed the platinums with the dark, and the reason why is because the platinum is a recessive gene, and I would probably only get dark ones out. Wouldn't get much else. Now, these are okay. This was a beautiful female. Nice and plump is right. I would get probably a lot of plump fish from her. Because of this, I have, let's see, take my pick. Let's try this one. She doesn't want to go in the net. That's interesting. She'll do anything to not go in the net. Huh. Two of them. I think I'm going to go with this one. Now, if I just kind of, there we go, got her. Now I got the female. Just watch what happens. Now this male hasn't seen a female in, I don't know, forever. So let's take a look at what happens once I put them in together. We'll just watch them for a few minutes. And move this around. Okay. Let's see if we see anything. See if we see any activity. Okay, first thing is, it looks like there's the female. She's got the dark nose. The male is the one with the bright red nose. Mark Daniels, Skipper's Aquariums, welcome, welcome. We're breeding barbs today, so we just put together this tank, and now we're going to see what kind of activity. It may be that the pair is going to need a little time to just settle in before he gets going and excited, but it won't take long. I see in the back behind the filter. The filter is also in there for protection, a place for her to find a spot to hide in. So we'll watch her. In the meantime, let's give him a few minutes just to settle in. I'm going to we're going to take a look at some of the fish that last week we discussed. One of them was the Fricatus rainbows. Just want to take a look at the fry that we had, watch them grow. And as you can see along the surface here, there's about a good 8 of them. They're doing very well. I haven't added any more mops, but I'm going to add some today. I'm going to take out the mop that the parents have. You see them zipping around in there. They're doing very well. They're growing much faster than I expected. These do grow very slow. Also, right now we're going to take a look at the catfish. Our Lucipinus are just crazy. These young guys are growing so fast. I remember when they were just little guys, and these are the littlest ones. These guys over here are growing so fast. They're getting coloration. Well, nothing like the oldest ones. The oldest one was the smallest batch. If you remember, these Lucipinus, the oldest ones up here, are now got coloration, and they love to hide in tight spots, and you can see from their coloration they're really looking cute. They are looking so cute, and that's the neat thing about them. And right now they're just doing so well, and I'm very pleased with them. So we're gonna see, let's just check real quick to see if we have any eggs. We did that last week, and I had a hard time showing that. I still don't have an easy time showing it. I don't know how I can show it without, what I need is probably a little stool or stand to set this down right here, don't I? Well, let's put it behind. We're gonna put let's see if we can get something going on the side here. Here we go. I don't know if that's gonna work. Let's see. Whoop! What happened? No. You still with me? Yeah, still with me. Okay. So here, what we're going to do is I'm going to try to do this so you can see. Now let me know if this is right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just do another check on our egg trap. It's been a few days since I've done it. I'm going to remove the cave. Pick up the egg trap. I don't have a good grip. You set it kind of down. There we go. Got a good grip. Okay. Let's just take a look at this egg trap. See if there's any eggs or fry in it. I've got hornwort all over. Okay. Let's see if I can. All right. So here we go. I'm going to just dump it and take a look. Okay. Well, folks, it looks like we have eggs. So I see some eggs. So I'm going to fill it with water a couple times and dump these eggs. Okay. Dump them like that. And then I'm going to do this like that again on the other direction. I hope you can see that. I'll check in a minute. We do have some eggs. Okay, so I'm going to dump several times. Now, the last time, I'm going to just put some water in this thing, and I'm just going to set it aside and let them hatch inside there. If there's any more that I missed, then I'll end up dumping it with the rest. And I have this spare one. It's got marbles and the cut plastic or fiberglass on top of a nice bowl shaped like that. And I'm just going to replace the bowl with a clean bowl. So they're going to get a complete fresh set bowl. Okay, and put that back on there with the cave. I like the hole of the cave on the back side so that they feel a lot less frightened. So let's take a look at those eggs. It's always exciting when a person gets eggs. I don't know if you were able to see all that. Maybe it was kind of off the screen. I don't know. But let's take a look and see what I got here. The easiest way is to shine a light. And do you see the eggs? I do. Let me get the right angle so you can see. There we go. They're like little orange circles. So it looks like we got another Lucipinus batch coming. It's been a month since the last batch we got, and I will leave them here in this little tub. It doesn't hurt anything right now. Look at that. Look at those eggs. You can't make, you just can't miss those eggs. Another nice batch of catfish. African Tanganyikan cats. Yeah, these are going to be good. Nice batch. Okay. How many do you think we got in there? Any takers? I have counted eggs before. Came up with quite a few on the last few batches. But that's pretty good. So, success this week. Last week we didn't have any success. This week we do. It's after the full moon right now. I was expecting it before the full moon, but those will hatch in 24 hours. So tomorrow I'm going to look in this tub and I'm going to see little wigglers, and they're going to be zipping around. I don't see any wigglers right now, so that tells me they were just laid last night. Let's take a look at the temperature. I'm just curious. We'll take the heat gun and where did I do? I put it down, didn't I? Here we go. Let's take the heat gun and give it a shot. Wow, very cold. 73. Yeah, that's not 80 degrees. That's 73. Compared, let me show you the difference. The tank's on that level, and this one to my left, where I'm raising some Odessa barbs. Let me see what that is. 74. So there's no heater in there, so they do quite well. But if I raise up and go to these don't have heaters either. But look at this, one level up, and gotta hold it right. Yeah, these are 75. So 73 is 2 degrees warmer. 76, 2 degrees warmer just in the stratosphere of going from that tank here to this tank's up there. And of course, the if we look at the upper tanks, which have our breeder rams in them, if I take a look at that, those are 80 degrees. So we're talking 80, so another 5 degrees is different, but these do have heaters to keep them close to 80. So anyway, sort of the temperature management. You want to put your fish that tolerate and like the cooler temperatures down lower. So that's why I have the cats down on this level. So they do much better. 73 degrees. I'm just amazed. And I have some Hexazonas, African banded. These are all fish I raise. These are just kind of growing out in this tank, and with the cats. And the cats are doing well. I mean, if I were to up the temperature, I wonder if they would still produce. I'll have to do that. Throw in a 25 watt heater and see about what would happen if we got a little warmer temperature for them, if they would continue to reproduce. So let's. Oh, how is our tiger barbs doing? Let me. We might not. We might not. I don't know if we'll be able to see them. Let's just see. Let's turn the. I'm going to stand on this side. Okay. There we go. Do we see? For those who are just joining us, welcome. We have Fishbrella Corporation. We have Glitch Aquatics. Fishymon, thank you. This is our breeder tank we just set up today. And I'm just looking to see if there's any activity. It may take an hour. We just threw them in there. But I'll bet you there's going to be some activity before the night. And definitely in the morning. So they'll spawn in the morning. So what I'll do is I have a night light over these tanks, over the workbench that usually stays on for the night. I will probably, well, let me see. I'm not sure if I need to do anything. There will be a light on. It's a blue light. It stays on all night. But in the back, you'll see the male and the female. They're just kind of feeling out. I want to make sure they don't get under the mat, the grill, and that's what's important. In the meantime, is there something else for this week? This was a Fishbrella. Welcome, thank you. You did miss. We just put together a complete barb breeding tank, as you're looking at here, and this was all put together and explained how it is that we're going to breed several kinds of barbs. We're doing an experiment today to see if we can raise up some fry from a couple different species in one tank. And I wouldn't mix two different kinds of fish at the same time. I wouldn't put the breeders together, and the reason why is simply, if you do that, it may cause competition and more fighting. So, oh, okay. So you've got your Pentazonas or in Hexazonas going. That's good. Mine are a little more timid, and so I want to give them a few more days. So that's why we went with the tiger barbs today. And the checkered barbs will go in tomorrow, and then maybe even the platinum green tiger barbs, we might even do that. So we'll see. But by the time, I will probably have to do a couple of videos this week. I'll be filming and watching when I see activity. I'll go ahead and film it and just post it as updates to our live stream today. So during the week, if you see me posting any videos, it will be probably it'll probably be good. Rosy barbs and checkered barbs together. Well, that's what I suspect, because I don't see an issue with that. They're not going to fight each other competition-wise, but I have noticed this. And this is like, for example, if you're going to put tiger barbs together, don't put two males in the same. They'll end up just fighting the two males over the females and spending more time at each other's throats than you will get spawning behavior. So that's something to bear in mind. Now, before we go, of course, I want to show the paramecia like I promised. So behind me is the paramecia. I keep it up here. So I have one that's called Tank, and I did this experiment several weeks ago. And we're going to take a look at the Tank one, and we're going to also look at what I have up there for the paramecia ready to go for this particular batch. So I'll be able to start throwing it in there, okay? So let's take down the flashlight, and we'll take a look at the Tank one. Let's see if we can pick out any paramecia. It looks like, yeah, okay, let me see. The best way for me to show it is to turn the camera around. I've always had better success showing it from this side on the camera. Okay, let's see if I can get the position of the light just right. And there we go. See that? See that cloudy white stuff? There we go. That's infusoria. There you go. You see it floating around in there? That's a lot of infusoria. Whoa, sorry about that. And so the point I'm making is that is something you could do with your tank water. Just go to my paramecia video. In my paramecia video, it shows you how to prepare a solution, the water solution in there that I use inside here. Plus, it has some small, amounts of some wheat berries, and it's the best solution I have found. It also you only use a couple of small scoops, 1/32 teaspoon scoops, two of them, of bread yeast. That's it, and it, as you can see, a couple weeks later, your tub is going to be thriving, and all that food will be just ready to start slowly putting back into your tank, and the fry will go crazy, growing, and when they're at the youngest age, and when you'll lose the most of them is when they're really small. There's no food because their stomachs are super small. But now, just to see the paramecia, which is a little bit bigger, it's easier to see. I'm going to grab. Okay. Let's see if I can show something here without crashing my phone. Okay, and this particular one, it has the muck at the top. So, but you see underneath the muck in the water column, that's the paramecia. It's bigger. It's easier to see than the infusoria I got from the tank water. That's why I use these. So if anybody needs, of course, a starter supply, watch my video, go to fisheasy.ca, and just order a starter supply. I share it very cheap, and I also ship to the U.S. I've had success doing that, so people can get started in this. Once you get started, you don't need to replenish the supply. You use the cultures that you have to start the next culture. That's what I meant by replenish the supply. You don't need to keep buying. Once you have it, you have it. It's great. So I make this available. I'll ship it out. It's a little troublesome for me, but not a worry for fellow fish keepers like yourselves interested in a fish room. So that's the food process. I start putting that in until once they get they're free swimming, the fry are zipping around. I just keep feeding them the paramecia. Then I go with the vinegar eels in a day, and then after that, a couple days of vinegar eels and paramecia. I go with the baby brine shrimp, because by then, 3-4 days old, they can eat baby brine shrimp. So, yeah, they're very small. Egg scatterers tend to be very, very super small fry to begin with, and they're not as big as, say, for example, in the case of the Lucipinus, the catfish, never feed them vinegar eels. The acid in the vinegar eels will kill your fish. Greg Sage has assured me that he's killed quite a few doing it that way, and made that mistake. So I don't bother, but I don't need to have live food in the free swimming stage anyway, because the catfish stay at the bottom. So perfect for them is the microworms. And a few weeks ago we did a microworm culture. I have not even showed you what that looks like now. Let me just pull that out from below, way down in the bottom of the fish room. Here we go. And so this is the culture we created. As you can see along the sides, this is all microworms that are growing up along the side there. See? Just amazing. So once I don't have to stir it or anything. I just I can just open the lid and then I just use my finger and grab some, put it in water first. That was the trick we learned. Put it in water first, and then carefully measure the amount of water you put in that's full of these microworms into your tank. Don't just flush in a bunch because you'll overdo it every time. It's just too much. So use a little container. I would take my finger, put it in water, and then now I have this. It looks like white water, but then when I can control it, I can use a turkey baster. I have my turkey baster here, and then I just feed the microworms controlled, like a quarter fluid ounce or a half fluid ounce or just drops, into where I need to have, in this case, where I'm going to be feeding the lucipinus. So the microworms are great for those, and then once they get into baby brine shrimp, they get these really pink stomachs you saw on those young ones we were looking at, and they start growing and going crazy. So it's been a really interesting day today. We discussed how to breed barbs, egg scatterers. The same process could be used for any number of egg scatterers. I think a lot of the I think there's going to be a lot of kerosins or tetras or other kind of egg scatterers that would also work the same way. Set up the tank the same way and put them in and adjust. There may be some tweaking involved, maybe with the water quality to make sure it's a lower pH, and it just depends on the species. Some of them are a lot easier than others. If you want to breed some, what do you call it, black skirt tetras, they're quite prolific, and I don't think that their requirements are that picky as compared to other fish. So that's something to keep in mind. So this is the process I use. We're going to continue with the idea of our tank here. By next week or the following week, I'll have some progress done on it. Still recuperating from my illness, so it's been a slow go and haven't made a lot of progress. I've just had to feed the fish and be patient, and so I'm just glad I had an opportunity today to meet with you all. If there's any questions, here's a chance. Oh, Jonathan Walker. Now, the diagram on the tank behind me, what is it? Well, that diagram was all developed last week. So in the live stream last week, if you didn't watch the live stream last week, you should be able to replay it, and I really would recommend it because it's a great explanation of what we're doing there in that little tank. And I hope some of you took the time to view the link in last week's live stream about the tank by that was put out well, I have the link there that what we're imitating, and apparently the gentleman who originally made that tank has passed away. So it's mentioned, his name is mentioned in that video. So he was the one who created the tank, and I like the idea. So I'm going to try to mimic a lot of the concepts and apply it to a smaller tank that I have on my shelf here. And we're going to use it to breed Danios and even some maybe the green neons. And we have some behind me, some green neons, little family 4 that we can work with and see if we can't get some more green neons. So we'll see how this all works. Yes, Fishbrella Corporation. You took pictures of the tank. Yeah, it was a 10-gallon. It's really neat. I don't think the link is in this week's live stream, but I think it's in last week's because that's when we discussed the whole concept. And I really recommend, Jonathan Walker, you look at it because I'm actually I think I put in last week's. Yeah, well, anyway, check the contents of that stream in the content section and the links and things of it, because it might just you might be able to go straight to it. You won't have to watch the whole live show. So thank you very much, everybody. Stephen Truthseeker is back, and great, great to have you with us again. I remember you from a few weeks ago. Um, Glad everybody could be here. We've had up to 14, 15 people at one time, and that to me is great. So, any more questions? Final questions? 10 years ago you designed that tank. Yeah. I'm sure that concept has been out there for years. I just want one myself, and so I want to apply it to this 2.5 gallon, and for some very special projects behind me, the Danios and the Neons, and so I'm anxious to see how it's going to work. I'm going to use the same bottom material that we have here for our shown in our barb breeding tank. So the bottom is going to look similar to this, and it's going to have that material. It looks like it's a fiberglass material, and it will cover the bottom and allow eggs to fall through. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to everyone for joining. If you're part of the replay crew, be sure to say that a comment below. Also, thank you very much those who've lasted or stayed the whole time. Back to the beginning, from the beginning. I appreciate very much everybody's contribution and just supporting the channel. It's just to share knowledge, and as you know, my purpose is to help people to have success, have fun with their fish, make a fish room that is practical and easy to run, so you can spend more time with your fish and enjoy the breeding of fish and watching the young ones grow. That's always the most satisfying aspect. As anybody would tell you, Aqua Malik would tell you that with his plecos and how wonderful it is when he's got some for sale, and others might have young ones to sell. And before I go, just the final tank I want to show is this little quick scene of these are the rams that I'm telling you have a very unique coloration. They're just beautiful. They're, let's see, okay, you see here the these are electric blues, but they've got a lot of orange in them, especially the orange in the dorsal fin and in parts of their body. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how these color out and how they do. As you can see, a very well planted tank like this is very healthy for the fish. You're doing very well. Oh, and since I did want to make mention, you see how I have hornwort in a lot of tanks, and it provides a lot of cover for the fish. They feel a lot more secure. So on our breeding tank, I think what I'm going to add right after this session, I'm just going to add some hornwort along, throw it in there, because as it's along the top, it will make the fish feel more secure. Right now they're hiding in the back and we don't see them, so I think that will make a big difference, and they'll start venturing out if they feel like they're in cover. So I need to do that. That was one thing I forgot. So I didn't used to have hornwort, and I didn't have that capability, but now I do. So it's something. It's a good thing to add. Thank you all for joining, and as always, if you have a question or you want to interact any on the progress of this, be sure to leave a comment down below in this live stream. And the reason I say that is because I answer every comment, and I do appreciate everybody joining in on the discussions. And there's been some very interesting input from others. I learned a tremendous amount from the experience of other seasoned fish keepers, and I think it's great to share that information. So here we are from Fish Easy in Toronto, signing out as concluding to everybody. Thanks for joining us, and as always, keep it real.